Hallo YouTube, ich mache auf diesem Kanal politischen Content und auch News. Das machen wir unter anderem im Stream, aber auch hier. Und wenn du ein Interesse hast, up-to-date zu bleiben, aber findest, dass die gesamte Fülle an Informationen dich ein Stück weit erschlägt, du an Weltenschmerz leidest und alleine das alles nicht erträgst, dann komm doch gerne in die Community, lass ein Abo hier und sei gemeinsam mit uns am Start. Zusammen halten wir die Flut an Informationen aus. Jetzt nämlich werden wir in diesem Video ganz tief in den amerikanischen rechten Sumpf abtauchen. Dort haben wir wirklich die Creme de la Creme der unfassbar problematischen, ekligsten Personen am Start. Es ist ein englisches Video, da gehen wir rein. Ich gucke mal, ob das mit den Untertiteln funktioniert. Jetzt wird es richtig unangenehm. Es geht los.
In these troubled times of climate catastrophe, billionaires consuming all the wealth and resources on the planet, and a lukewarm Taylor Swift album reception, one constant that we can all take solace in is how much the right hates one another.
Das dürfen wir in dieser Verzweiflung und diesem Shitstorm von allen Seiten und dem, die Linken zerreißen sich, so dürfen wir nie vergessen, die Faschos hassen sich selber genauso doll, wie sie Linke hassen. Sie schaffen es nur, besser in sich selber gegen uns zu vereinigen, weil wir die unmittelbare Bedrohung sind für deren Ideologie. Aber die hassen sich selber genauso doll, weil deren Ideologie als solches sie automatisch isoliert. Deswegen, das dürfen wir nicht vor Augen halten, das dürfen wir nicht vergessen. Wenn wir von linken Grabenkämpfen sprechen und die sind so ungeeint, so, dürfen wir nicht vergessen, das ist auch ein rechtes Narrativ, dass die Linken untereinander ungeeint ist. Im Kern sind wir alle auf derselben Seite, wenn es darum geht, Menschenrechte und ein gutes Miteinander gewährleisten zu wollen, darauf hinarbeiten zu wollen. So, da sind wir alle im Kern uns einig. Während Faschisten, also Faschisten, ein Interesse daran haben, dass es ihnen besser geht und anderen nicht unbedingt besser, sondern schlechter. Und dabei machen sie keine Grenze zwischen Menschen, die 100% auf ihrer Linie sind oder nur ein bisschen von der Linie abweichen. Die sind da tatsächlich sich selbst am nächsten. Heißt, sie stehen mit dem Rücken zur Wand und umringt von Feinden. Dürfen wir nicht vergessen, die hassen sich selber doller, als wir glauben. Und sie haben nicht den Vorteil von Leuten, die sozialer und linker geprägt sind. Sie haben keine Hoffnung.
Despite having complete and total power in the United States and Argentina, the far right have never been more miserable.
I actually am impressed that the Catholics are actually getting nicer. I mean, I actually like Matt, which is as opposed to these guys, and it is getting to be. It's like the Vatican except for straight people. It's so it's really it's really exciting.
Yes, there's the clip.
Unable to pretend that they're the
Matt Walsh, ne? Mister, ich hasse Transfrauen und mache eine ganze Dokumentation darüber, um sie zu diskreditieren. Ich liebe es, wenn solche Leute. Ich liebe es, wenn schlechte Menschen realisieren, dass sie schlechte Menschen sind und ihnen einfach nicht gut geht, weil sie realisieren, dass sie schlechte Menschen sind und ihr gesamtes Leben darauf investiert haben, schlechte Sachen zu machen. Und das dann so in dieser Situation so, I'm a horrible person. Wenn diese Realisierung klickt so, es ist well.
punk rock maverick outsiders trying to take down the deep state. They instead control every aspect of it, and are swamp maxing the nation straight into the empire toilet. And despite stacking the courts,
I still like beer.
Concentrating all the money for the wealthiest elites in the country.
Brett Kavanaugh, sein Hearing war auch insane, als man ihn, obwohl er diese Missbrauchs-Allegations in der Dingens hatte, in seiner Schulzeit hatte, in seiner Studienzeit hatte, wurde er ja trotzdem zum Supreme Court ernannt und seine Rede war, I still like beer. Er hat sich halt besoffen und dementsprechend stand er unter dem Verdacht, eine Frau besoffen belästigt zu haben. So, und seine Rede war, ich mag Bier, ich mochte Bier und ich mag Bier auch immer noch. So, Bro hat einfach nur bewiesen, dass er halt gerne eine Suffnase ist. So, das war komplett insane.
Handing over total control to the tech industry to crash the economy on worthless AI slot machines, waging...
Das war nicht Curtis Yarvin, der ist noch schlimmer. Das war hier der von Palantine, der Inhaber.
War on every single citizen who isn't translucent enough for their liking, and bombing any Venezuelan sailor who has the audacity to try and fish off their own coast. They're utterly miserable. You'd think rounding up tens of thousands of black and brown people to throw in concentration camps would fill some sort of erectile dysfunctional hole in Stephen Miller's heart. But alas, even the pedophile rapist president tearing down the White House to build his bourgeois bunker while starving millions of kids to death doesn't seem to be making him happy.
You're all psyched. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it.
A twisted tale of a King Midas with the ability to turn everything he touched into monkey paws that grant racist wishes, destroying the entire planet while feeling absolutely nothing. But what, pray tell, is making them so miserable? Stephen Miller is getting to act out the most fascistic fantasies since Adolf Hitler challenged John McAfee to a shit-eating contest in hell. You see, while they love to brag that the majority of America, and by proxy the world, signed off on all this, only about 1/3 of the country voted for him. Of those voters, some were, yes, die-hard MAGA cultists who seem fine watching their healthcare costs skyrocket and food prices become so obscene that potatoes and rice is a night out, as long as minorities suffer and children are ripped from their mother's arms. Yet there were also people completely fed up with the liberal status quo that promised way more than it delivered. There were some who simply rolled the dice, because if one of the two options wasn't delivering for their families, then maybe the other would. But most importantly, a third of the country didn't bother to show up at all. In terms of the far right,
die Wählerbeteiligung ist dermaßen im Argen.
the alt-right, the neo-reactionaries, the white supremacists, and the full-blown Nazis, they who will never know the touch of a woman that isn't their mother, well, they were all in for Trump. And therein lies the problem. You see, the fascist project that people like Ben Shapiro were more than happy to open the big tent poles for, were never going to be satisfied at just hating the gays.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing.
Not what are you fucking your brother?
No!
What? Oh, I like it when you're rough with me, pretty lady.
Nazis were never known for putting cap limits on their hatred.
Nope.
For you see, fascists at their core are deeply perversely and freakishly insecure people.
Yep.
The very notion that races exist, or that there should be a master one that dominates all others, is so fundamentally unscientific and sad that it will inevitably lead to weird freaks seeking to destroy all love on Earth, for at their core, they have none. Which brings us to the closeted booger-eating, cum-hunting, anthropomorphized pubic brush of the Führer himself,
Nick Fuentes. Der Mann ist ein Fiebertraum. Das ist ein kompletter Fiebertraum, ne?
Fuentes, the leader of the modern neo-Nazi white supremacist movement known as the Groypers.
We love Hitler, not in a fucking gay way, okay? We love Hitler in a Christian way, you freak, not in a gay way.
For years, he had been relegated to persona shit stain
War doch mal wichtig, das klarzustellen, ne?
amongst the right for his overt disgust and hatred for all women, his endless praise of Hitler, his hatred of Jewish, Black, Indigenous, and ironically his...
hasst Frauen, schwarze und jüdische Menschen. Er ist rassistisch gegenüber Lateinamerikanern. Er liebt Hitler. Charlie Kirk war ihm zu links und zu judenfreundlich. Trump ist ihm nicht rechts genug.
Hispanic people, an unapologetic mission to send the modern American conservative movement back to a reverse birth of a nation. Banned from most social media platforms, Nick Fuentes had to grow his empire on his own proprietary streaming platform called Cozy TV. From the studio built directly in his mother's basement, he streamed a regular show too racist and homophobic for mainstream internet. An unabashed white supremacist to establish the American...
Das ist endlos pathetic. Er sitzt, weil er zu rassistisch ist und keine Plattform in irgendeiner Weise mit ihm zu tun haben will, hat er sich eine eigene Webseite gemacht und streamt aus dem Keller seiner Mutter, weil er sonst nirgends sicher ist, weil er sonst nirgends gewollt ist. Im Rahmen, deswegen, er wohnt nämlich nicht mehr zu Hause, er wohnt nicht mehr unabhängig von seiner Mutter, weil er im Rahmen des Overturns von Roe v. Wade gesagt hat, your body, my choice. Und dann wurde er gedoxt und dann sind halt Frauen zu ihm nach Hause gekommen, um mal zu gucken, ob er dann auch wirklich so ein, in Natura auch so ein krasser Macher ist, so ein mutiger Mensch ist, so. Und dann hat er die Frau geschubst und hat sich eingeschissen und ist zu seiner Mama nach Hause gelaufen und hat sich in ihrem Keller einquartiert. Weil eine Nachbarin vorbeigekommen ist, seinen Clip gesehen hat und mal nachfragen wollte, was bei ihm so geht.
America First movement as a white identitarian Christian nationalist project, appealing to...
Er heißt Nick Fuentes, ne? Fuentes.
mostly teenagers, pulled in by his brand of offensive humor and a sales pitch of superiority.
So the more that I read that, I'm just translating it in my head as real nigga. When people say white nationalist, racist, anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, I'm just reading badass motherfucker. I'm just reading real ass nigga.
Often targeting real-world issues that plague men, such as difficulty meeting or making friends, attracting women.
Those that pretend to be the most tough or the most masculine, they've got their dumb bitch wife right behind them in their ear. And we both know that guy is never going to punch her in the face. He's never going to kill her. It's just like the woman knows that's not even in the cards. It's not in the deck, okay? She's going to open up that pack of cards and it's not in there. 0% chance, okay? It's never going to happen. He's never going to cheat. There's no rape. There's no, in other words, there's no actually male power coming from the man.
He added the unique angle.
Und damit habt ihr einen groben Überblick über den radikalsten, menschenfeindlichsten Rechten aus Amerika.
Of an intrinsic birthright that young Christian men once had that have been taken away from them through feminism, homosexuality, Jewish control of the media and politics, and good old-fashioned Satanism.
Because, of course, we believe that these things like transgenderism and homosexuality and feminism and usury and liberalism itself, these things are sinful. These things are wrong. Democracy is wrong. Okay. Feminism is wrong. Okay. Contraceptives are wrong. If you want to be right with God, you must oppose all this stuff.
Rome has fallen, and once the master race has been relegated to cuck soy boys who are addicted to porn and are castrated for their white and male privilege. It's a similar sales pitch to other insecure weirdos like Andrew Tate and Sneeko.
Grüße.
The difference being the Hitler particles are now ramped up to 11, and everything is doused in a heavy dose of shitposting, irony, and internet memes. An army of Pepe frogs who call themselves the Groypers and attack the mainstream conservative movement just as much as they do liberals or the left, all for being too woke and gay.
You know, Charlie Kirk in the grand scheme of things is just some retarded idiot. It's because Charlie Kirk is a fake patriot, a fake Christian, and he hates his people. He's anti-white. This is our angle.
Which is wild considering the overwhelming amount of evidence that Fuentes himself is so deep in the closet, he's halfway to Narnia.
He's so deep in the closet, he's halfway to Narnia. Das ist wild. Aber ja, Bro, schwul.
For starters, he's the self-proclaimed king of the incels, or involuntary celibates, an online movement of unwilling virgins who have had their rightful ability to mate with women taken away from them by feminism. It's not their fault they're lonely or single, it's a combination of the feminist movement giving women too much power and the attractive ones called Stacy's, all picking the popular muscle-bound jocks called Chads. Through hypergamy, a real term used in social sciences, but rebranded by people like Jordan Peterson into conspiracy theory that women control the gene pool through selective mating.
Right. Women are hypergamous, which means they mate up and across and up dominance hierarchies. And so if you're a male who's successful in a given hierarchy, the probability that you're going to have additional mating opportunities is exceptionally high. It's an unbelievable.
Denen geht's allen immer nur um Sex, ne? Das ist halt diese Incel-Bubble, so. Da muss sofort die Alarmanlage, also generell, ne, für alle Dudes, ne, für alle Dudes erstmal so, wenn du irgendjemanden kennst, der Jordan Peterson unironisch irgendwo zitiert, irgendwie guckt und konsumiert, so, Alarm, lass ihn los. Für alle Frauen, die Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes oder sonst jemanden konsumiert, eure Kinder, was weiß ich was, Alarm, müssen losgelassen werden. Raus in den Wald, alleine gelassen werden. Das ist zu spät. Verloren. Ne? Kannst du nichts mehr machen. Ist verloren. Kannst nichts mehr machen.
Unbelievably good predictor of that. Divulged.
Vor ein paar Jahren habe ich Peterson teilweise angehört. Okay. Mods, einmal Lenny im Auge behalten, bitte.
Hey, whatever. That's it. Diverged.
In an unconscious Bene Gesserit hive mind, keep all the sub-sixes.
Jeder macht mal
ugly
Fehler.
men. from ever getting close enough to a woman to inseminate them, let alone kiss them. In an interview on a far-right, now disbanded podcast due to one of the co-hosts being accused of sexual assault and his own secret homosexual behavior, Nick admitted to Sydney Watson that he'd never kissed a girl, let alone had a relationship with one, yet wants to dictate what half the population has in terms of human rights.
You can only do so much reading before practical experience actually should take, some sort of precedence. And I mean, I say the same thing about women too. I mean, I dare say, from my understanding of many of your viewpoints, you also promote like the way of interacting with women. And I go, have you been in a relationship with a woman?
No.
So how are you telling other people how to behave towards women when you yourself have not had any actual physical, interaction with them in a romantic capacity, or in fact in any capacity where you uphold them in a way that treats them with respect? I mean, if you're out here arguing that women are basically half the value of, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, in fact, because that's not right. But
Auf die Watchlist gekommen.
If you are looking to some other regimes around the world that do think that women are half the value of a man, I have to question what kind of a person who's had no experience with women is in a position to basically promote these ideas.
Well, I'm having an experience with a woman right now, and I've had lots of experiences with women in my life, not romantically per se, but I've talked to enough women. I've been in, I've known enough women to know sort of what's going on.
He openly had a friendship with a gay Nazi sex worker called Catboy, leading to an ongoing joke in his community that he's gay, wink wink, but only as a meme.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is.
Everyone always talks about who's taller, so...
I'm taller.
Yeah, he's clearly
taller.
Well, Nick's 7 foot, and I'm only like 6'9".
You're walking on the curb right now. The staff can't see what you're walking. You're walking on the curb. What?
Someone said indirect kiss mode.
What?
Someone said indirect kiss mode. It's like, no, that's what I'm trying to avoid.
What are you talking about?
With the straws.
Oh, yeah.
This idea that's been brought into the zeitgeist, right? Is to stop men from making relationships because we're dangerous when we're together.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you give your friend a hug, oh, gay.
Yeah,
oh, you go
kiss
out.
your friend on the lip. Oh, gay.
Oh, you have a shower with your friend, gay.
The JQ might actually be a second priority to him behind the CQ, because there was even once an American First Discord channel dedicated to Catboy discussion.
Years later, the treasurer of the American First Foundation
What the hell?
would part ways with the organization, accusing Nick of entering his apartment with a black light to search for his sperm. He would go on to claim he was a homosexual and a fake Catholic. Nick would later be caught having a tab of trans porn on his phone.
What the hell?
And of course, there's the time after finishing one of his streams that he accidentally started streaming full, hardcore gay pornography to his audience.
And have a great rest of your evening.
Ist das zensiert?
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Ist es zensiert? This isn't the actual music that start playing. At the moment, it's actually a man having loud sex instead of enjoying chip turns convert. Oh, Digga. Es ist zensiert. Es ist zensiert. Der Chat. WTF? Wow. Fragezeichen, Fragezeichen. Nick aus, so wie das WTF. Hacked, OMG, what the fuck. Der Chat komplett am Ausrasten. Sehr gut. Looks like he got hacked.
Which he would claim was not him. It was instead an attack by Mossad for his criticisms of Israel.
Yeah. There's no warning. We just went straight into Happy Thanksgiving to Destiny's wearing a butt plug on the stream. But this was one of the developments. And then the ultimate was a...
Mossad war's. Ja.
sex tape came out
Ja.
of him giving a guy a blowjob.
Ja.
And naturally, everybody said, oh, and by the way, it's a video from the guy's perspective.
Ja,
you
ist der
barely
Guy.
see anything. And of course,
Das war so ein Riesenskandal, weil Destiny, der ja bi ist, ne, auch ein riesiger amerikanischer Streamer, der auch unfassbar problematisch ist, soll ihm wohl oral befriedigt haben.
everybody said, oh, that penis? People said that was my penis. So I did watch it. The guy was also wearing a bracelet. I never wear a bracelet.
Ja, okay.
So how exactly is someone this bizarre now rising to the point where he's actually splitting the American right into two separate camps?
Komplett insane.
His first re-entry into mainstream politics was through an unlikely partnership with Kanye West.
Yo, you know I'm here with my white supremacist homeboy Nick. We back.
While running for president,
Danke, Kanye West. Danke für diese Aktion. Danke.
he began meeting with Milo Yiannopoulos, a disgraced right-wing pundit in his own right, who was once a useful coked-out token to their movement. But after promoting pedophilia on a podcast, he had to rebrand as a reformed heterosexual who would cast away his sodomy stone.
Ist auch schwul.
It was also at this time, through Ye's connections with Donald Trump, that Fuentes actually had a sit-down dinner with the president and began once again appearing on the radar of prominent conservatives.
I almost shed a tear, almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah. I think they've been extremely.
Er setzt sich wirklich mit einem Schwarzen dahin, ne? Der hasst ihn wie die Pest und findet, dass er nicht existieren sollte oder da sein sollte. Und Kanye West so, oh, lass mich dich supporten. Das ist insane.
Unfair to you. Who is they though? We can't say who they is, can we?
Press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking about.
It is them, though, isn't it? I mean,
Ja,
because
sie sprechen über Juden, ne? Sie sprechen über Juden, damit ihr Bescheid wisst, so. Aber Tim Pool ist die Art Grifter, der nicht möchte, dass man ihm seine Plattform wegnehmen könnte, weil er wird natürlich auch von Russland maximal mitfinanziert, da gab es einen Riesenskandal. So, aber Tim Pool, der mit der Mütze, so, ist die Art Grifter, der will zwar die Conspiracy pushen, aber will nicht dafür verantwortlich sein, also immer noch schon diese plausible deniability hochhalten.
No, and because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Are you afraid of the press?
He's gone.
He was a large promoter of the stolen election narrative, giving speeches near the Capitol to help incite the eventual coup, but wouldn't directly participate, preventing him from seeing any jail time or consequences. Fast forward to today, and Nick Fuentes isn't a disgusting freak on the sidelines of the right.
For that dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West at Mar-a-Lago, there was a large freak out within Trump's senior staff trying to put in new protocols. I wrote about this in my book at the time. They were really concerned that people were getting to Trump, and they set up protocols to try to keep those sorts of people away from him.
He's entering the mainstream, platformed by the likes of Destiny.
I want to be a good wife. So I got peanut butter sandwiches.
Whoa! Is it for him?
For both.
Let's go! Thanks,
Isn't that what a
Mom.
wife is for?
What?
Isn't that what a wife is for?
That is absolutely.
It is.
See, you got it made, bro.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Good job.
Let's go. You got
Now,
it made. Hell.
Hold on.
Oh, and Fuentes'
Disgusting.
treatment of me is so bad. I don't understand. That's something he'll have to learn and grow. Not to sound like not to be too self-aggrandizing, but like Fuentes should be worshiping me because I am literally I was the only lifeline that he had to like being able to breach like mainstream political conversations. Like I represented a huge potential opportunity to him, and he just was so bad faith.
Ich hasse den Käse da, ne? Destiny ist auch so ein unfassbar widerlicher Grifter. Der geht mir auch so krank auf den Geist. Der ist so gut im Argumentieren, wirklich hat so ein gutes Potenzial, um halt Rechte auseinanderzunehmen. Und ist so ein ekliger Mensch.
The way that he treats me, it's unbelievable. I don't know why the fuck you would do that. Like, he should have been so conciliatory towards me. And I'm not looking for that. I'm not asking him to be my bitch or anything. But for him to be, like, relentlessly bad faith against me all the time, like, bro, who the fuck are you? Like, I can put you on a stream in front of 14,000 people. Like, I'm giving you your phone number to, like, Adam22 so you can go to a show. Why the fuck would you, like, burn my shit so hard?
I never wear a gold. So that's how also the guy appeared to be black or something. He had like brown skin. He doesn't have a hitchhiker's thumb. Anyway, so I did a little forensic as well. But the only way to disprove it, because my penis looks nothing like that, would be for me to show everybody the side by side.
Glenn Greenwald.
We don't really know much about who the shooter is.
and what the official story is, but we know that tens of thousands of leftists celebrated his public execution for expressing basic conservative opinions. They must be held accountable regardless.
I am hurtling towards you, full force, going nearly 90 miles per hour, weighing close to 1,500 pounds. I am hurtling towards you like a human missile to blow up this whole thing. And you're telling Generation Z, buy a Hillsdale course, get a second job, observe the Shabbos, go to Turning Point? Fuck you. You are not ready for this. You are not prepared for this.
Der hat ihn monatelang, Charlie Kirk, monatelang angegriffen und bedroht und die ganze Zeit gegen ihn geschult, bis Charlie Kirk getötet worden ist und dann ist er komplett Kehrtwende und hat natürlich die Chance genutzt.
And I'll say it now like I did in 2017, the day after Charlottesville. A tidal wave of white identity is coming. And once word gets out, they will not be able to stop it.
And Russell Brand. It wasn't long until he was hosted by Patrick Bet-David and finally Tucker Carlson.
And the availability of porn. It's hyper stimulation. And so I think that's sabotaging a lot of normal sexual relationships.
It seems like it's making a lot of people gay too.
Yeah, and trans.
You think that's true?
Ja.
100%.
What is that?
Ja, doch. Porn macht Menschen schwul und trans.
I think that the novelty is a huge part of that. I think that if you are somebody that uses pornography multiple times per day, which many people do.
Actually?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a lot of jerking off.
A former Fox News host was seen as flying a little too close to the Black Sun, and the schism began. A furious Ben Shapiro did an entire 1-hour special on the evil things Fuentes had said and done.
Oh ja, weil er mag ihn gar nicht, ne? Er, natürlich einer der ekelhaftesten rechten Grifter. Problem bei ihm, er ist jüdisch. Und maximal pro-Israel, so. Und dementsprechend mag er Nick Fuentes, der halt nicht nur ein Holocaust-Denier ist, sondern kompletter Hitler-Fanatiker und Juden hasst, so. Ja, fand er nicht ganz so witzig, dass Tucker Carlson sich mit Nick Fuentes trifft. Fand er nicht ganz so witzig, so.
Is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction of people led by a young man named Nick Fuentes. They call themselves the Groypers. They are white supremacists. They hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds, blacks, America's foreign policy, and America's
blacks
Constitution. They admire Hitler and Stalin. And that splinter faction is now being facilitated and normalized within the mainstream Republican Party. The main agent in that normalization is Tucker Carlson, who is an intellectual coward, a dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend.
One of the only times he's produced anything without a single sponsorship break. What's striking is nearly every single thing he accuses Fuentes of being misogynistic and violent towards women, racist towards black and indigenous people, praising white supremacy, are things that his own host, like Matt Walsh, have said many times before.
Ja, die tun sich alle nichts. Diese gesamte Bubble ist so unfassbar verlogen und verheuchelt. Die tun sich alle nichts, die hassen sich alle und sollen sich alle gegenseitig zerlegen.
The cases that I mentioned, all the cases I mentioned, they're all immoral, bad, gross, harmful. But they're not all rape. Some of them were, not all of them. And until we acknowledge that there are other ways to have immoral sexual relations with a person, until we reclaim sexual morality and sexual boundaries, we will be stuck trying to condemn all bad sex on the grounds of consent.
Fact number 1.
Bro ist nicht weniger frauenfeindlich als Nick Fuentes.
It's not a new phenomenon. Fact number 2. In fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for, the first 6 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact 3.
Unearthed Matt Walsh rants advocating for the impregnation of a 16-year-old girl because it's when they are technically at their most fertile time. He claimed it's not the teen pregnancy problem, but a non-marriage problem. Also er ist auch dafür, dass man Mädchen, die 16 sind, dass die schnell schwanger werden sollen, weil sie da ja am fruchtbarsten sind. Ne? Bro ist halt basically pädophil.
Girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay? And get rid of slavery from the entire world. You have just, it's impossible to say what the world looks like right now. Actually, what we can say is that we all end up worse. All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the entire globe. That's why we fought the Civil War to begin with, was because there was a cultural difference between the North and the South. And we're going to be heading that way again if we don't say, okay, this is who we are. And by the way, the people saying this is who we are need to be plentiful and strong.
I agree.
And potent.
I just personally feel that you don't have to be an Anglo-Saxon to continue that line of thought. I just think people need to be more patriotic about the country in which they live, know more about its heritage and where it came from and how it sprang about. I mean, I married
White Nationalist halt, ne? Wo sind die Untertitel hin?
somebody that's, I don't think Maria is Anglo-Saxon, and she definitely has left her culture at the door. So, I mean, if Maria and I have 5 kids, like now I'm confused. Am I perpetuating the problem or
See, you keep bringing this up and it makes me look like I'm making some racist point. I know you're saying that's what you're trying to do, but that's obviously not what I'm saying. Have relations and kids with whoever you fall in love with. That's great. As long as they're the same gender. I'm fine with that. All I'm saying is that as a general rule, for our culture and our identity to continue, we need to just procreate and keep that culture going. Because you say, well, come over here and have some patriotism and identify with us. Why should they identify with us?
What makes Fuentes different? His hatred of Israel.
Ne, dieser Gedanke von, ne, wenn die hierher kommen, patriotisch sind und Kinder kriegen, warum sollten die dann sich mit uns identifizieren in diesem Land? Weil sie kommen ja von hier und sehen ja nicht so aus wie wir.
Megyn Kelly, it's never enough. Kevin Roberts, it's never enough. Matt Walsh, it's never enough. It will never be good enough for them. Because ultimately, they are Israel first, and they see everybody that isn't a Jewish Zionist as a means to an end.
See, Fuentes has found the new lane that has people like Glenn Greenwald and others praising him for. His hatred of Jewish people extends into the nation-state of Israel.
Es ist schon doll.
Having bought into the Zionist definition of anti-Semitism has him crossing over into a new audience. Now make no mistake, Nick Fuentes hates all Jewish people, not just Israelis. Like Candace Owens, he's spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories for years and is in the Venn diagram of people who hate both Israel,
people who hate Jewish people, people who hate Israel,
and all Jews. It makes him the perfect ammunition for liberal and conservative Zionists alike who try to rebrand any support of anti-colonialism or Palestinian emancipation with racism towards all Jewish people. Fuentes hates Muslims as well.
You know what? I think Muslims should be banned from America. And not because I'm a Zionist, because whether Israel existed or doesn't exist, I actually don't want to live near a mosque.
And his core beliefs don't lie in anti-imperialism. He's fine with US regime change.
Das ist einfach nur ein schrecklicher Mensch. Er ist einfach wirklich in Summe einfach nur ein schrecklicher Mensch.
Venezuela.
This is what you're supposed to, this is default stuff.
Exactly. This is your vital American strategic interest. This is, people say, isn't the purpose of the military to protect America? This is protecting America. These are the Americas. These are strategic interests. And by the way, what's more, this has been U.S. policy for 200 years. It goes back to the Monroe Doctrine. And, people like to say we shouldn't meddle in their affairs. We've been doing that since the Spanish-American War. We've been doing that since, there were these banana republics. Like, we've always been operating in that way, and that's for a very good reason. I think that's a realist point of view.
But to be a finer point, the Monroe Doctrine is we don't meddle, you meddle, we come in.
Well, and more, I would say, moreover, that the Western Hemisphere is uncontestable American territory. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with us meddling, actually. And maybe we might disagree on that, but I support meddling. I don't think that...
No, I get it. When we're opposed, when a force moves in, what China has, it's not even meddling. I get the meddling. I'm saying it's a defense. You have to do it.
Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham openly condemn him specifically because of his criticism of Israel, not because they care about racism or bigotry.
Nope.
You see, MAGA and the right have mutated into full-blown fascism, and a problem with fascism is that it doesn't have an off switch. There's not a point where Nazis will be fine with just calling for the...
Wir werden bald einen Wechsel des Themas sehen. Der Nahostkonflikt klingt ab, das Thema zieht weniger Aufmerksamkeit und die Grifter ziehen weiter zur nächsten Gruppe. Yep.
The elimination of trans and gay people, but suddenly stop at Jewish ones. And now the right is having to deal with two very distinct teams, forming, both assuring their audiences that they have America's interests at heart, when they both serve the billionaires, the corporate elites, and the ruling class. Which makes the case of the one Elon Musk and J.D. Vance so strange.
Is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Come here. Take over, Elon. Just take
You see, these are both very rich and powerful and successful men.
Boing.
By all accounts, they've achieved near the limits of what people within the game of capitalism can do. Elon Musk is not only the world's richest human, the owner of some of the most recognizable multinational corporations on Earth, but at one point was the worm-tongued the President of the United States. J.D. Vance came from an impoverished background, with a family suffering from addiction.
What's the point? I'm talking about a chance. You might not make it, but you sure as hell won't if you don't try.
Why do you even care what I do?
And went on to not only become a best-selling author, be a wealthy entrepreneur.
Most of Silicon Valley, they're actually parasites off of human attention.
Tied with one of the other most powerful men in Silicon Valley, Peter Thiel. But eventually, as I'm sure you're aware, became the Vice President of the United States. So why are both these titans of Earth so concerned with pleasing the most revolting figures on the internet? The 4chaners, the Redditors, the alt-right, the neo-reactionaries, the Nazis, and even worse, the reply guys of Twitter. Elon Musk spends a record amount of time on a website he himself bought to become the head mod of, and the most popular and powerful account on the site, and responds to and is friends with accounts that the majority of the world knows as pathetic lolcows. A derogatory term for tragic internet personalities known to be so embarrassing that their only value to humanity is to be milked for their comedic patheticness. People like Ian Miles Chong, a Malaysian troll, both figuratively and literally, who isn't talented at anything he professes to care about. A list of games I have not played. GTA 1, GTA 2, GTA 3, GTA 4, GTA 5, GTA 6.
Tried, but didn't like doing crime. GTA 5 required shooting police officers in the opening scene. Just couldn't do it.
Digga, dieser Mann ist so unfassbar cringe. Es ist körperlich unmöglich, das auszuhalten, der Cringe.
Glad shooting cops in Cyberpunk 2077 is completely optional. Never finished GTA 5 either.
Ian Miles Chang has written up to 255 German X articles covering GTA 5, including description of personally killing or evidently virtually policing in games. Ach, das ist so peinlich, mein Gott. Oh mein Gott, ist das peinlich.
And has a history of pedophilic comments and openly lies about the information he shares to the point where no one on any side of the political aisle takes him seriously. At times, his own government has investigated him for his overwhelming loyalty to both the United States, but more dangerously, Israel. And at one point, the internet collectively celebrated what they thought was his death.
Yeah, it's totally. Yeah, I know. Totally didn't deserve to get flash banged and all that. Totally apologize for that.
She's born now. She's born.
Aw, send her my regards. Oh yeah, but yeah, no, seriously though, that was a fuck up.
Now you're laughing. You think that's funny?
No, absolutely not.
Or Grums, a previous employee of Blizzard, whose sister.
Das ist auch so ein unfassbarer Versager. Ach du Scheiße.
There can best be described as annoying, who left to form his own company that he was eventually kicked out of due to what appeared to be gross wasting of funds, only to then fundraise over $500,000.
Things went very quiet from December of 2021
until April of 2024. Trump took 2 years off and didn't really say anything until he got called out
for a game he never completed, over 8 years in.
Es gibt so unfassbar schreckliche Grifter, ehrlich. So unfassbar schreckliche Grifter.
Then revealed to have been running a secret BDSM forced milking fetish porn ring online, where he would pay money to have his amateur erotic fantasies drawn into anime porn comics, while pretending the entire time to be a woman.
I am right there. I'm the photographer, camera operator, director, writer, editor. Too many things.
These are the accounts that Elon Musk treats as sources or with civility, while the rest of the world wonders how some...
Erwähnt er auch immer, dass er bei der Blizzard gearbeitet hat? Ja. Ja. Es gab bei Blizzard so einen Skandal, wo ein Dude die Muttermilch aus dem Kühlschrank von den Angestellten weggetrunken haben soll. Also da war eine Mitarbeiterin, die hat halt, weil sie halt schwanger war, hat sie halt immer regelmäßig abgepumpt so und die Milch dann halt in den Kühlschrank gestellt. Und die ist halt dann regelmäßig verschwunden. Und das war so ein Riesending über Blizzard. Und es kam dann halt irgendwann raus, dass er das weggesoffen hat. Bro ist ein Freak. Bro ist ein Freak. So, also was ist das? So, du klaust doch nicht die Muttermilch, die für ein anderes Kind von einer fremden Person... Es ist so insane. Es ist so insane.
Someone with so much wealth and power can be so profoundly unhappy.
I do coke, so I can work longer, so I can earn more, so I can do more coke.
Despite having the ability to be with any woman he wants, he instead chooses to artificially inseminate them without having sex in order to build a legion of men he hopes one day will inherit the earth, while doing so much ketamine that he pisses himself in the halls of power.
Where do you think, like, what lessons have you learned that you
Bro,
know
komplett
you're
auf
not going
Ketamine,
to be making on Starship? To, like, do a mission. You're just trying to get data out of the thing.
J.D. Vance, meanwhile, has on multiple occasions chosen to defend overt Nazis, whether they be punk coders brought in by Musk, who openly mock his wife.
Saying, quote, normalize Indian hate before he is rehired into the government, just asking for the sake of both of our kids. That apparently struck a nerve. Vance responded telling Kana to grow up, adding, quote, racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. But he says a culture that denies grace to people who make mistakes does. Vance went even further in another post, accusing Kana of emotional
hat einfach den Dude verteidigt, der dazu aufgerufen hat, Hass gegenüber ihn und seine Kinder. Und seine Frau und seine Kinder halt zu normalisieren.
Blackmail of the Doge staffer, adding, quote, you disgust me.
Or throw her under the bus in public to please an assumed Groyper fan base at a college event rather than defend her.
As I've told her and I've said publicly and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
What his wife Usha has said previously, maintaining that they were raising their children in an interfaith household.
Nick Fuentes has openly mocked him and his wife.
India smells bad, all this kind of shit. And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a G who named his son Vivek.
A closeted part Mexican Hitler lover who eats his own snot and yet somehow instills more respect from the vice president than his own goddamn wife. Well, the most obvious answer that any political scientist would tell you is that they ultimately want more power. J.D. Vance, as the vice president, has only but one position to climb to win the human game of Skyrim, ascending to the throne after Donald Trump dies due to health complications, or runs out his term and doesn't attempt a dictatorship. But J.D. Vance has never had the same sauce. He's not feared like Donald Trump. He's ruthlessly mocked by his own MAGA base. And even though he pretends to be in on the joke, like when he dressed up for Halloween and tweeted this,
Happy Halloween, kids, and remember, say thank you.
these aren't memes done out of love. Becoming the meme, despite Elon and Vance's best attempts,
I am become meme.
Es ist einfach immer noch unfassbar cringe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are not the same as having a large percentage of your followers think of you as a ruthless Chad that embarrasses the libs to get those coveted tears. He thinks that by appealing to the simultaneously online and offline America First angry incel army, that he'll have one of his own someday. But that's short-sighted, as most men aren't Nazi-coded freaks, and most just want to live good, fulfilling lives. Not to mention, they don't see him as a father figure like Trump, as much as they do a creepy, annoying cousin who may have molested the furniture. A second theory I'd submit is that these are just undeveloped boys, stuck in arrested development, raised on the internet and meme currency, and perpetually stuck in a hellish cycle of seeking validation from groups of racists and online bullies. Immortally stuck thinking lightsabers and AI hentai wives are totally based in epic.
Oh, you're playing rough today, Shay. Smack. You like that, Mommy?
And never fully aware of how internationally hated.
Das habe ich da gesehen. Was ist das schon wieder für ein Fiebertraum? Oh mein Gott, was war das denn schon wieder?
And ruthlessly mocked they are due to the shield that financial and political success provides them. Even worse still is the reality that both Musk and Peter Thiel's brains have been so broken by a complete lack of media literacy and billionaire brain rot that they've come to think of themselves as worm lords from Dune, becoming the moral warnings that the novels and movies they loved growing up from Lord of the Rings to Star Wars in order to rule Middle-earth and the galaxy beyond.
The reason they've been able to enjoy the Shire is because hard men have protected them from the dangers of the world. And
das ist so dumm. Das ist krass, wie wenig Ahnung der Kerl hat. Ja, deswegen können Hobbits im Auenland chillen, weil harte Männer das Auenland schützen. Nein, das ist einfach behütet, weil es behütet ist, weil kein Arsch weiß, wo es liegt. Es ist so weit außerhalb des Konfliktes, weil es irgendwo nirgendwo ist. Es ist basically das Hinterland.
But since they have almost no exposure to the dangers of the world, they don't realize that they're there until one day, 1,000 people show up in your village of 500 out of nowhere and rape and start raping the kids. This has now happened God knows how many times in Britain.
And the crazy
literally
thing
raping.
is,
It's right, like there's some 10-year-old got raped in Ireland like last week.
Yeah, there's
growing up in apartheid South Africa and buying into white supremacist ideology. Their successes only validated their Hitler-adjacent beliefs that they were of a superior race that must control and subjugate the masses of lower worms that they consider the rest of humanity to be.
Originally, the grandparents have no connection to South Africa. They're born and grow up in Canada. And in the 1930s, the grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, he's head of the Canadian branch of a US movement called Technocracy Incorporated. And Technocracy Incorporated is essentially a movement to overthrow democratic government in the United States and have technocrats, but big businessmen in many ways, come in and run the country. Through the 1930s, it takes on increasingly fascist overtones. They start wearing grey uniforms, modelled on the Nazi brown and black shirts. And so when Canada declares war on Germany in 1939 alongside Britain, the movement is banned because it's clearly sympathetic to Hitler.
And the problem is, they're just regular people. Extremely lucky and untalented, very average men who, without their wealth, would struggle to have a single other human want to interact with them for any period of time.
Yeah.
They're all hideously ugly, unremarkable in any meaningful way.
Have you watched any other annual shareholder meeting? I mean, honestly, it's like, if you need to go to sleep, sure. But other shareholder meetings are like snooze fests. But ours are bangers.
And their existence is an existential threat to society itself. They are the living avatars of everything wrong with capitalism. Uncreative leeches who require an unfair system to keep them in any position of power And if they were left in the middle of an island, they would die faster than the average Ugandan they're fine depriving of life-saving medication or food. They are the worst of humanity with the power that will continue to starve the human race unless they're stopped. Or maybe I'm just thinking of a book I once read and everything will be completely fine.
Ja. 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 Der Hund ist legendär. Einfach noch Side ein.
I just want to quickly say this entire video was made without the use of AI, and the complex research and deep hunting for clips is only made possible thanks to the support of our Patreon supporters. If you're interested in funding projects like this so they can exist, or just want to unlock the videos before anyone else sees them, see uncensored and bonus content, it only costs $1 to join, and if you have a little extra, you can see your name in the credits. We're looking to expand our team and hire some more people to start making content even more regularly, and we can only do that by making enough money to pay the other members of our worker cooperative fair wages, and that really comes down to your support. So for everyone whose names are coming up right now, we honestly can't thank you enough.
Top 3 black females in history.
Okay, let's see. Top 3 black females. My first answer was going to be really gay. There's just no way around that. I was going to say like Diana Ross, but that's like, nope, can't say that, too gay.
Thank you so much to our patrons for making this show possible. We could not fund it without you. And if you want to join, please check out patreon.com/theserves to unlock bonus episodes, uncensored content, and all the good stuff. Thanks to Anna Loves Riley, Addercap, Bobby Lasers,
Das werden wir mal abkürzen. Ohne Witz. Dieses Video war ein unfassbarer Fiebertraum, aber hat nochmal gut aufgezeigt, wie unfassbar doll zerklüftet und opportunistisch die Rechten untereinander sind und die sich, wie wenig sie sich eigentlich selber ertragen können. Dass sie halt eigentlich sich noch stärker hassen und ablehnen und eigentlich sich gegenseitig verfeindet sind, sie aber sich soweit erstmal einigen, gegen Linke zu gehen, noch bevor sie halt gegen sich selbst gehen. So, und wenn der Kampf, ne, weil sie jetzt in der Macht sind, nicht mehr ganz so polarisierbarer ist, so, werden die sich gegenseitig zerfleischen. So, die hassen sich halt alle selber so krass. Und ich finde es eigentlich ganz nice, das nochmal vor Augen zu halten. Und wenn du das auch nice gefunden hast, so, dann schau doch mal regelmäßig auf diesem Kanal vorbei. Wir gucken uns auch immer mal wieder on-stream, da kannst du auch gerne vorbeigucken, englische Videos an. Heißt, wenn das was für dich ist, dann lass doch gerne ein Abo im Stream da oder hier auf diesem Kanal. Unterstütz mich auf weiteren Kanälen, partizipiere in der Community, damit die Community wächst. Und wenn du das nicht möchtest, dann werden wir uns wahrscheinlich nicht wiedersehen. Das ist auch in Ordnung. Gehabt dich wohl.